Hi everyone, I'm Haley, and today I want to make some specialty card mugs, but I figured I'd take you guys along with me so you can see the process from start to finish on the product that I make that goes out to you, whether you buy it from my vendors markets or my Etsy or you message me on Facebook. So yeah, let's just get into that. Okay, hopefully the audio is good on this. I know the camera quality's not the greatest. I'm working on getting my new filming camera set up, but I'm going to start off with 112 brown clay. I weigh out almost about 2 pounds per mug. They're hefty mugs. They hold about 16 to 21 ounces per mug. But yeah, so we're gonna weigh that out really quick, and then I'm only probably gonna do 4 on this video because the mugs I make that are specialty carb take a little bit of time. So I'm only gonna do 4 for this video. Okay, now that I have all 4 weighed out, we need to wedge them to get out any air bubbles, and then I'm going to put them into circles. That way they're easy to throw. And 4. Alright, so now we're gonna go to the wheel and actually make the base of the mug. The freaking Folgers coffee thing is what I'm holding my water in. The Tidy Cats is my chair. The Menards bucket is what I hold my bats on. Another Tidy Cats is what I hold this lovely metal baking tray where I put my balls of clay. This is a setup we're working with, but it works, and that's all that matters. I'm gonna turn my wheel on. I guess this is kind of going to serve as a tutorial too. Not really, because I'm not going to go into great detail, I don't think. But a lot of you ask whenever I meet you to do like video, not even video tutorials, live in person one, like sessions. I only have 3 potter's wheels right now, so I don't think that would work quite yet. But I also have the idea of doing that sometime, an in-person shop. We'll see if I get around to it, but for now, this is gonna have to do. We're just gonna watch as I kind of guide you through. I also don't have a fancy potter's wheel yet, so it doesn't have the 2 pins on the side, so where I can throw my bats down. So I do the hack where you get these 10-inch thin wood circles and just throw it down on a slab of clay. But it works so far. I've thrown probably hundreds and hundreds of mugs like this, and it's never been a problem. So I just throw my circle down, pat it down, make sure the friction's sticking to it, make it into a little bit of a disc. We're going to center it right now, which means I'm going to bring it up and down several times. I tend to use a lot of water when I'm throwing. It's easier on the wrist doing it this way. I don't know how people throw their mugs with dry hands. It's not comfortable for me. Fortunately, it calls for a lot of clay reclaim after, because it does get really soft and pudgy. Also, normally I wear a bib over this, like coveralls, but for the sake of this video, I'm not doing that because I don't feel like it. We're just bringing it up and down until it's centered. Maybe we'll do another video about how to center your ball of clay, but I'm just gonna go as you guys know what that means, and yeah, we'll say that. Okay, it's pretty centered. I'm gonna go in now, take both my thumbs, go into the center of it, press down. I leave a good amount of clay at the bottom because I like to stamp the bottom of my mugs with my Haley Makes logo. So I need it to be pretty thick at the bottom to be able to do so. Otherwise, if you want it to be thinner, go ahead and do that, but I leave a lot. This is where I bring my sponge in. I kind of smooth out the bottom. And because we're going to be carving on these, I'm not going to do any crazy design. I think I'm just going to go in where it's a straight edge, but I kind of taper it up more. And I'll show you how to do that as well. Again, I'm not a good teacher, but I'm trying to help you guys a little bit if I'm going to be making this video. So to make the tapered edge, like I said, to make it wider at the bottom and narrower at the top while still being kind of straight edge, if that makes sense, I just go out with my sponge. I'm pushing outwards while slanting my hand inwards at the top. When I'm doing this, I kind of go at a slower speed. And I can feel the bottom of this mug is a little bit thick still, so I'm just spreading it out more and then going up as well to get some of that. I don't like them to be too heavy, and if I can make them bigger, I will if there's enough clay at the bottom. There always is. Again, I'm kind of constantly smoothing out the bottom of the mug because as I push out with my finger, it tends to make a ring at the base, and I like to smooth that out. And then I'm going to take a straight surface. This case, it's my wood rib tool that's dirty, so I'm cleaning it off. And I'm going to kind of, again, taper in, but going a little bit wider at the bottom, scraping all this excess off and just putting it in the side of the wheel. So I don't need that. You can see I'm slightly angling it while I'm pushing out. Throw that down, don't need that. And just kind of cupping the base, or the top of it, I guess. And slightly pushing my hands inward more. And hoping slow it down a little bit so I can actually make sure I'm doing it correctly. All right, that is almost what I want. The only thing is the top is a little bit crooked. It's not the right word, but that's what we're gonna go with. I want it to be even, so I'm gonna go on with my metal tool, and I'm gonna put my finger in the back of it. Always make sure this is wet when I do it, that way it's not pulling at the mug too much. Going kind of as flush or as flat as possible and keep it there. I use my leg as a kind of safety point to where I don't move it around too much, and then I just go around in the circle, trying to never move my hand. So trying to make this as flat as possible at the top, which it looks pretty good here. And then I go in with my sponge and soften up the top of it so it's not too pointy when you're trying to drink out of your mug. Soften that edge a bit. I'm kind of pinching with this hand while I'm sponging the top. And that looks good to me. One more, bringing it in. And that's one mug down. So I'm gonna repeat this 3 more times. But yeah, that's what our base is gonna look like. I'm just gonna set this off to the side and let it dry for a minute. All right, this one's done. That's mug number 2. All finished. That took me 6 I guess I should say when I go to pull my mugs up, I take these 2 fingers, and I don't know if this is correct, but I just kind of push outward slowly using my thumbs to kind of do all the work, and I just bring it up from there. I bring in the sponge later, but right now, that's just how I kind of open it up and bring it to some level. Slow it down a bit. kind of think I want these to be a little bit of a different shape than the other two. I don't know. I'm making up on the spot whether I want it to be. Maybe for the sake of this video, I'm going to keep them all the same, but because it has a nice shape to do like a curve, like how I do on the dinosaur and the bees mugs, but I don't know. I'm looking at one over here. I'm trying to decide if I want to make it that shape or not, but no, we'll keep it the same. So we're just going to do the same shape again. Bring it in slowly. Yeah, it's fine. I'm just using my 2 fingers here to kind of thin the walls out and bring them upward more. Yes. Oops, slow it down a bit. Three done. Quality check. Looks good to me. All right, last one for today. Make sure this is centered on my wheel. All right. And I just smash it down on there. Then there's too much liquid on here to make the actual piece of clay stick, so I go around in a circle and kind of dry it out just with friction. That's good. Throw it down, squash it down, and rinse, lather, repeat. We're centering right now. I feel like the bottom needs to be wider. There we go. I'll clean that up in a second. Okay, that's perfect. Flatten out the bottom again since we kind of messed with it. All right, that's good. We're gonna kind of do some carving on the bottom of this one, taper it up again, but it's almost close. Almost done. I always get my hands wet when I'm trying to pull or manipulate the clay at all. So any friction and it'll kind of mess with your piece and you can't really manipulate it as well. Yeah, that looks good. We just gotta smooth out the top, even it out. And good. Let's clean up the top as always. There we go. All right. One last smoothing edge for today. All right. I also sand these all when they're dry too, so it doesn't have to be perfect. All right. That one's done. We got all four. Now we gotta let these dry overnight. I'll come back in tomorrow morning, pull some handles on it, and then I'll carve it and then attach the handle. But that's all a tomorrow thing, so we'll just come back tomorrow and do that. Hi, and welcome to part 2 of this mug making journey. I hope you guys liked yesterday's video. It was a little bit longer. This one's probably gonna be long as well. But right now we got to start on pulling some handles for our mugs because those have to take 3 to 4 hours to dry. So we're just gonna get started on that. Okay, so we have to make handles for those 4 mugs. I typically make one extra per every 3 to 4 mugs I do in case a handle messes up, and then I have an extra to fall back on. But I don't weigh out how much clay to use for these handles. I kind of just wing it. I get a good chunk, about that size. I get 5 of these, and then I take it on the table, use my hand, and roll more on one side to kind of taper it down, make it narrower at one side, and like a cone shape at top. And then roll my finger around this rim right here so I have something to grip onto. Then I take my water, I kind of dip it in there, and you just pull the handle like so. I go in before these are dried and I kind of shape them on the table exactly how I want them to be when I go to actually place them on a mug, just so they can dry in their shape that they need to be on. Helps them stay in form. And I take off that giant nub at the top, so I don't want it taking up drying time. We don't need it on there anymore. Alright, now we let these dry for probably around 4 hours. Come on, we gotta pull these mugs off the bat. Here they are. They've been drying overnight. Um, they should be, this is a leather hard stage. This is perfect for carving. This is also the time where I like to take them off the actual wooden bat and then kind of clean up the edges if they need it and stamp the bottom of them with my logo. So I just have it on this flat surface, take my fishing wire, wrap it around quite a few times on my two pointer fingers right here, like so. I get enough to where I'm actually covering the whole disc. I like to use my thumbs to kind of hold it down to make sure it doesn't go upward at any point. Again, you need this to be as level as possible, as smooth as possible. And I'm just pulling as I go. And it goes all the way through. And there it is, off the bat. Like I said, when I clean it up a little bit, again, I do sand it. I just kind of go around with my fingers, smooth it out. Now we have to put my logo on there so you guys know it's me. I always press the Haley part. So this is where Haley is, and then this is where the Makes is. I go down with the Haley part first, and then really give that a squish, and then kind of rock it back and forth to make sure the Makes is on there. Sometimes I have to actually go underneath the mug and kind of push it into the Haley part because that tends to not stay on as well. And rock it once more after doing that. Clean it up a bit. Make sure the inside didn't get too squashed. And voila. Haley Makes. Now it's on there for life. And I also let them dry upside down while we're waiting for the handles to dry. Now we're going to do it production style. I'm just going to do all three of these at once. Normally, I try to plan my days out correctly so I have a whole day of doing mugs, a whole day of doing my travel mugs, spoon rest, lime zesters, variables, etc., etc. We're only doing 3 mugs today, which is a very small amount. Normally I try to do about 13. But I'm going to show you the same thing again. It's very repetitive. Flip all these upside down. This is an easier way to take it off. There. 1. Making sure my table is always clean. 2. And 3. Cleaning the edges. Stamp. That's good. Good. And this one probably needs to be pushed upward. This is just when the clay is too soft. I have to do it this way. Okay. There we go. Alright, we can start carving these. For this first one, I think I just want to do little hills and valleys and some trees, and I think that's it for it. But we're gonna practice, and I got a new diamond core tool that I want to try out, and we'll see how it works. I'm a little bit nervous on how it's gonna do. Did alright, I feel. There's one hill, and then I'm gonna kind of go with the flow and just add more as I feel like it. I'm just gonna add a hill here. I don't really know what the plans for these ones are yet. And can't decide if I want to underglaze it or overglaze it or just leave this part with the bare clay or do a whole scenery with it, but we'll figure it out. For now, I'm just carving, and that'll be a video for another day. Let's see. Down. You can see where my excess clay comes off of the tool. I just go around one more time and pick it up. And I'm also just kind of picking it out of this little piece here. How's that? There we go. One last valley or hill. Okay, I think that looks good. I'm probably gonna go in and just do texture here, just for the fun of it. Just to add something different to it. I said this one was gonna have trees. I scratched that. Scratch the idea. The other ones I do will have trees. This kind of already has a lot going on if I'm trying to still glaze above it. I like to, whenever I'm doing pieces where it's like partly clay showing and then I still have the glaze, I like to leave about this much for an actual glaze to show. That way you can get like a full design of it still. But I do like adding textures to my mugs. So far I am liking this new tool though. Okay, that's one mug down. I think I like it like that. We're gonna leave it alone. I kind of already mapped this one out with my needle tool, but I think I'm gonna have a river here and then some mountains and then like rocks and maybe some trees too. But we're gonna go in now that I have kind of a rough outline. I'm just gonna carve with this thicker carbide tool. Just give me my river. I'm gonna have big mountain. Maybe a tree. Going over it. There's a tree. Okay, there's a couple of trees. There's another tree. And one more for good measure. I'm just putting some rocks here. Maybe some rocks over here. Down here as well. And I'll just probably throw in rocks wherever it feels bare at. Alright, this one's done. The most time consuming of all of them, but there it is. Last one. Okay, I'm just gonna try to do a sunflower in this last one and then call it good. So just go with a big like half circle at the bottom, like that. And then just kind of work my way up with the petals. Just see how I feel. I feel like this will look really pretty with like the obviously the brown and yellow and then like a teal background color. And then fill in with smaller petals here. Add texture to look like the seeds. And then just some vein or line work to the petals. And there we go. All right, that's all for finally carved. We still have to wait on the handles to dry and then I'll attach them. So I just go in with my handle, being about this shape is what I typically like to do. I kind of just eyeball where I want it and the height and everything, which to me, this looks perfect. So I'm going to go in with my slip. It's just on the side of this container. I'm going to score it one direction. So this is going to be vertical and the scores on the handle are going to be horizontal. I put some of that slip on the actual score lines. And then since I did vertical lines here, I'm going to do horizontal on these ones. Like so. Leaving some slip on there because that helps it attach as well. Like that. And then I'm going to just firmly press it on there. The top first and then the bottom, obviously. And then I kind of smooth it out. Look at it, make sure it's even on both sides. The handle is straight, not crooked or wobbly or anything. Like so. And then kind of smooth it out from there. My finger, and then I also have this rubber tool that I go around with to make sure all the seams are really sealed in and attached correctly. And there we go. That's the handle being attached. I did lose some texture here since I did kind of mess with it. I'm just going to add that back on right now. But yeah, there's one handle finished. And here we have all 4 of the completed mugs. These are gonna dry for a week, and then I'm gonna put them in the kiln, glaze them, back in the kiln one last time, and then they'll be up for sale. I might post them on my Facebook page, or they're just gonna be on my Etsy, or just into the crates for the vendors markets. But if you see one you like and you have some color combos you want, you can message me directly to kind of claim one of them, and we can get working on that for you. But yeah, that was it for this video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in another one.